Good morning, Brandon Raynor here. I'd like to talk to you guys today about what being a naturopath means. Some people are not as familiar with the profession and the term, and so I know a lot of people think I'm like a massage therapist, or some people even call me a masseuse, but I'm not a masseuse, namely because a masseuse refers to a female massage therapist. But I am a naturopath, and I spent 4 years doing my diploma in naturopathy, and I do have other qualifications as well in Ayurvedic medicine, which is the traditional medicine of India, Chinese herbal medicine, shiatsu, which is the Japanese acupressure massage, and certificates in Thai massage and kinesiology. But today I'd like to talk to you about being a naturopath. It's a more common profession in Australia than it is in the United States. They do have naturopathic physicians in the United States and naturopaths, but I'm just going to talk to you about the basic principle of what it means to be a naturopath. So it's a very broad term that basically means a person that uses natural methods to heal. So we can use nutrition, herbal medicine, flower essences, massage, anything basically that's natural to heal. So I include like manipulations and things like that as well. And in many countries, naturopaths can do manipulations legally, unlike in Australia where they discriminate against naturopaths. So first of all, the term itself was originated in the 1800s, and it came in America by German immigrants. So there were Dr. Neep, who came up with different hydrotherapy cures, and there were quite a few other naturopaths around at the time, including Kellogg, who actually formed Kellogg's cornflakes and Kellogg's cereals. He used to have a lot more healthy approach than all the sugar stuff now, but he advocated cereal for breakfast. There were other naturopaths that were formative in advocating, brown bread and that sort of thing. So naturopaths have been instrumental in promoting health without necessarily using drugs. There was a campaign against them in the 1800s by the Rockefeller family that led to a lot of naturopaths going underground and fake accusations against them and that sort of thing, because modern medicine relies on a lot of pharmaceutical products, and that gets the rich richer and the poor poorer, because it takes money out of the system, whereas a naturopath or a herbalist relies on nature and plants that can't be patented. You can see all around here we have the Raynor Naturopathic Garden and Wildlife Refuge, and there's a lot of plants here, and I don't control them. I don't own the genetics of them. I just accept that nature owns them, or God put them here for our use. So a lot of naturopaths are quite spiritual people, from Paracelsus and different people in the early part of the history of naturopathy. They believe that often God inspired them to do something, but basically they're using natural methods of healing. So that's the basic idea of what a naturopath is. It's often an unregulated profession. Like here in Australia, it's unregulated, and some people believe that's a good thing, because when a person is inspired in their healing by God, or by their own inner conscience, or by a connection with nature, that it shouldn't be regulated by the government, and that the government can't be trusted to regulate such things, because often throughout the history, both of naturopathy, chiropractic, osteopathy, government's often controlled by vested medical interests, and they want to suppress genuine healers who aren't being part of the economic system that the government represents. Often, like for example, big pharmaceutical companies donate money to major political parties, and they'll donate them to both parties in a political system. So whether it be Republicans and Democrats or in America, or the Liberal National Party and the Labour Party in Australia, that sort of thing, they basically cover their interests and make sure that their products are being promoted and their business interests are being looked after. Okay, so Naturopaths tend to sort of not be into that because, like I say, we're small people in terms of small business people, and not relying on the patent of a product. You know, we're just using our skills to diagnose and to prescribe natural medicines. Okay, so it's a very old profession, actually, even though the term naturopathy only came about in the 1800s. The profession itself has been very old. It can include many different forms of healing and healers from different, different cultures, from shamans to Ayurvedic medicine is definitely a naturopathic form of medicine in India that has thousands and thousands of years of history. Same with Chinese medicine. It's definitely a naturopathic form of medicine. Although the term, as I say, naturopathic medicine comes from sort of both a combination of European and North American origins, but the actual type of medicine is practiced all over the world. So, using, like I said, herbal medicines, they'll use, nutrition, water therapy, the different hydrotherapy places were started by naturopaths. And basically anything in nature that can help a person. So that's one of the important things about a naturopath. And so naturopaths can be very broad, very different in their approaches. Some naturopaths are homeopaths. Homeopathy is different than naturopathy, although it could be included under naturopathy, and I did study homeopathy as a naturopath. But homeopathy is the like cures like philosophy, where a tiny amount of something, diluted, like a snake venom, for example, that causes paralysis. If you get a tiny amount of that, it'll treat paralysis. Okay, so that's homeopathy. But naturopathy is much broader. Naturopathy is broader than chiropractic or broader than osteopathy, because we can, in our approach, we like to use anything that's going to help the person. And we will refer to doctors if necessary, if we think that their approach is going to help the person. For example, in Ayurveda, one of the 8 branches of medicine was surgery. So an Ayurvedic practitioner or a naturopath would refer somebody to a surgeon if necessary. So we're not against Western medicine. We try and work with them. But however, many problems that people associate, with going to a doctor could be much better cured by a naturopath. And especially when we look at chronic diseases. So something like 70 to 80% of diseases are diet related, and another 60 to 70% are stress related. And obviously there's a crossover there. So when we look at the biggest killers like heart attacks, strokes, diabetes, we can see a crossover between stress and poor nutrition. Okay. So a naturopath will be much better at treating both of them. Some naturopaths, though, I do find tend to think like a doctor, where the highest point of being a naturopath is sitting behind a desk prescribing vitamins and minerals to people in a tablet form. I'm not that kind of naturopath. I'm a more traditional naturopath, and I also believe that massage is a very, very important aspect of healing. So even though being a naturopath, in the so-called health order hierarchy, we sit a bit in a weird position, but still we're supposedly higher than a massage therapist. My primary focus has been massage, but I have a very strong focus on nutrition and herbal medicine and flower essences as well. Anything, again, to treat that person, to get them into a higher state of health, get them more in touch with themselves. So mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health, all of them. So, we can use many different substances. And part of it to me is the harmony of the human being with nature. That's why I like living in a garden, having a garden around me with all the birds and the animals as well, because that can be healing in and of itself. Even gardening itself can be healing, like getting your hands in the soil can be good for the nervous system. But as a naturopath, my primary focus has been on massage therapy, because I used to do a lot of iridology, which is looking at people's irises and diagnosing diseases or discomforts or potential problems from the iris. And I would often see stress rings in all sorts of people, and toxicity. And I'd be like, you need a massage, even before we could treat them with herbal medicines. People might be, say, addicted to cigarette smoking, but we can't treat that person while they're so stressed out, because their stress makes them want to smoke. So I would prescribe massage. That's how I got into actually emphasizing massage, because when I first started studying, I actually studied as a naturopath, and massage was my first year of it. So I never had a massage actually before I studied naturopathy back in '91, and then I completed my diploma of remedial massage as my first year of being a naturopath. So yeah, so it's important to understand that, the context of which I do massage is as a naturopath, and is, somebody who studied Chinese medicine and Japanese medicine and Indian medicine, and they're all basically spiritually based or energy based, life energy based. And they're fascinating, and they're some of the oldest systems of medicine on the entire planet. So to me, being a naturopath is a wonderful thing. It's exciting. You never stop learning, because there's so much to learn about nature and the interrelationship between nature and the human being. So it's a great career. But you can start off, if you're interested in being a naturopath, you can start off with being a massage therapist. You can learn herbal medicine, learn some nutrition, learn some flower essences, learn some other aspects like iridology. And it's a great way to help people. And it's a great way to just, again, it's the people's medicine in a sense. We're keeping that profit within a small business rather than a huge pharmaceutical company. And with pharmaceuticals often come many other side effects that are not necessarily good, which are not as common with herbal medicines or nutritions. Side effects are much, much milder. Even with massage, we can say there's some mild side effects, but they're milder than surgery. Okay, so if we can release somebody's tension and make the function of the body, mind, and soul better, then that's much better than them going to surgery or having pharmaceutical drugs. Not to say, again, in extreme cases, we wouldn't use those, especially in things like car accidents. You're going to want to see a surgeon, perhaps, rather than a naturopath. But you may have a naturopath to help with the healing afterward. But naturopaths are especially good at, like I said, preventing your chronic diseases rather than acute onset things or accidents and that sort of thing. Although there's certainly uses of things like comfrey for bone. They used to call it bone knit, and it was used even in the ancient Greek wars to help repair wounds and things. So there is, history of naturopathy being used in that way. But as I say, I would refer somebody for those sort of things to a surgeon or a general practitioner. But for all these chronic things like high blood pressure and that sort of thing, it's a lot of it's diet related. And unfortunately, they don't want to train people up in that enough as doctors. I know John Robbins, who wrote the great book, Diet for New America, and Reclaiming Our Health, Exploding the Medical Myth and Embracing the True Source of Healing. He's really pointed that out. He's been one of my inspirations to learn about the politics of natural medicine. Highly recommend his books. And he points out that doctors have almost no training in nutrition. So how can they then, understand what to give people? Because the medical industry is, like I say, if you look at the history of it, search, Rockefeller, naturopathy, suppression, all that kind of thing in Google, and you'll see a lot of articles about how the modern medical system actually really tried to crush naturopaths, and it's all based around profit. And that's what I'm facing, obviously, here in Australia with this campaign against me. They introduced a law, the so-called national law, that stopped anybody doing cervical adjustments except chiropractors and osteopaths and physiotherapists and medical practitioners. And yet there's no standard of training required. So medical practitioners, many of them don't even believe in the benefits of cervical manipulation, and they certainly aren't trained in it or its contraindications, but they're allowed to perform these without any training or without anything. And yet naturopaths like myself, who've been practicing from 16, 17 years before this law was introduced, or 18 years, aren't allowed to do it. So I think naturopaths have faced a long history of discrimination, as chiropractors have. And it's based on, of course, turf wars. People, make money. There's money to be made in medicine. And, So people sometimes care about their money more than they care about helping people, instead of making money in an ethical way, which is to provide a good quality service to people. It helps people. They want to stifle their competition instead of making money ethically. So this is a problem, and I'll cover that in another video. But, please, if you have any questions about what it means to be a naturopath, let me know in the comment section below, or any other thing, and I'll discuss the other qualifications I have, like Ayurveda, Shiatsu, Chinese medicine, and that sort of thing in another video. But, good luck to all of you. I hope you're all well. And as we said, I lived in Hawaii a long time. Aloha to everyone. So take care.